Hi everybody, welcome back to the homestead. Well, many of you noticed that last week we took 2 of our normal video days off and we're back. We're doing great and we wanted to give you an update about what's been going on in the meantime.
Well, we heard from several of you. You had emailed us or sent us messages in other ways, making sure everything was okay. We wanted to let you know that we are absolutely fine here on the homestead. We're trying to stay home as much as we can and get a lot of work done. Now, in the future, whenever things like this happen and we take a little bit of time off, we just wanted to let you know that we always post what's going on in our community tab on YouTube and also on Facebook and Instagram, other places that we have social media. We'll always give you guys updates as to what's going on. But we appreciate the emails and we're so glad that some of you reached out that you were concerned about us. So why did we take some time off? What the heck has been going on? Well, the truth is we needed a little bit of time to get some work done without the camera rolling. As you can probably imagine, when you're constantly following around with a camera, it does slow things down a little bit. And there's a big project that we're working on that we needed to get done, and we needed to get it done pretty fast.
So it's no secret, you guys, that we're in some crazy times right now with the virus and the economy and those kinds of things.
So really, since the beginning of 2020, Sarah and I have been sitting down and thinking about the goals for the homestead, the things that we're doing, whether or not they fall in line with, our big goals. Really, we've been monitoring this virus situation over in China since the beginning of the year. We didn't really think it would ever come here to the United States, or at least not in a really bad way. But now it appears that this coronavirus could really get quite bad here. And it's really made us step up our efforts to streamline how we do things on the homestead and to make sure that we're more prepared than ever. As we've talked to you guys about in the past, our main goal really is to provide good, healthy food for our family and depend as little as possible on the grocery store or other ways of getting food. We want to be able to control that as much as we can. So really, for the past couple months, we've been talking about a few changes, and just recently we decided to implement those, which is why we took those couple days off last week. We needed to get some things done in preparation for something big that's going to happen here on the homestead.
So let's go take a walk around the homestead and we can show you what we've been working on over the past week, and we can show you something very exciting that happened while the cameras were off. Well, let's go in by the goats. Just recently, we moved these goats from where we have our cow Hope over to this area. This is where we had goats for a long time, but we fenced off an area so that our cow and the goats could live together. But over time, we've realized that the goats have been climbing into the big hay ring that we have for all of them to eat from, and they're basically ruining all of the hay. So we've moved them over here until we could figure out what we were gonna do, and for the time being, this is working out fine. But while we were off a couple days, our goat Rory had her babies. So let's go in and take a look at the little baby goats. So our mama goat Rory had her babies. You can see 2 tiny little babies over here. They're so cute. Now Rory did have 3 babies. She had 2 girls and a boy. But overnight, on the first night, one of the baby girls passed away. So we've got this light one here is a girl, and the darker one here is a boy. And they're just as cute and as healthy as can be, and they're both feeding really well from their mama. So let me show you them a little bit closer. Here is the baby boy. Oh! He is so sweet. He's mostly chocolate brown. Yeah, that's your baby, Mama. Yeah. Good boy. He's so sweet. Baby goats are the cutest things ever. Let me show you the baby girl. Here's your mama. Oh. And here is the baby girl. She is so sweet too. She has blue eyes. The boy has brown eyes. And she is light brown with some white. She is so sweet. Now, both of these babies are for sale. And that's actually the other thing we want to talk with you guys about. Actually, all of our goats are for sale now. We want to talk with you about that.
So as Sarah just said, we've come to a hard decision, something that we've been contemplating for the last several months, really, but we just decided recently to make this change, and that is to get rid of our entire herd of goats here on the homestead.
We've been raising goats on the homestead here and in our urban homestead for the past 7 years, and originally we brought them to the homestead to satisfy our dairy needs, and at the time that we first brought them onto the homestead, we really couldn't have a cow. We fell in love with goats. We love the goat milk, but since we've been here out in the country in southwest Missouri with more room, we brought a dairy cow onto the homestead, and she now is satisfying all of our dairy needs. So the dairy goats aren't necessary anymore for us.
When we first started homesteading, one commitment that we made to ourselves was that we would not have a homestead where we just end up with a lot of basically pets. We don't want to have a lot of animals that cost us a lot of money to raise, but don't give us anything back in return.
So now that the goats are no longer satisfying our dairy needs because we have Hope, our milk cow, it's time for them to find a home that can supply them with their family's dairy needs. So we're hoping for a wonderful family that will take our goats either all together or individually. If you are interested in our goats, please make sure that you email us so we can talk about those arrangements.
Rehoming the goats will actually free up a lot of our time and space here on the homestead so that we can expand in another area that we've actually been wanting to expand for quite some time, but just felt like we are stretched too thin already. But now that we've made this decision, we're moving forward with another part of the homestead we want to share with you guys now. So behind me is our pig pen, and a lot of what we've been working on for the past week has revolved around pigs. Now, we've raised pigs on the homestead for about the past 6 or 7 years, and those of you who have been following us know that every spring we go out, we get about 2 or 3 feeder pigs. We bring them to the homestead. We raise them from spring to fall, and in the fall, Sarah and I will process those pigs right here on the homestead, and they provide a good year supply of pork for our family.
So over the past 7 years, we have really come to enjoy raising pigs. We've gained a lot of confidence about raising them and butchering them. And for us, the next logical step is to also begin breeding them. And that is a major decision that we have made after thinking about it for a long time. Now is the right time to do that.
It's really been probably a year or more that we've been really considering whether or not we should start raising our own pigs here on the homestead instead of depending on other people to, supply us with the feeder pigs every spring. Now, one of the things that has always kind of held us back from wanting to do that is, it's kind of an intimidation factor and really kind of a setup factor for us of having a, 700 to 900 pound pig here on the homestead.
Or several.
Or several, because we'd have to have at least 1 or 2 sows, and we'd have to have a boar to get the sows pregnant every year. So we've kind of put that off. We've kind of always said, yeah, maybe someday, but we weren't really ready to do that. Well, last year I started researching some of the smaller breeds of pigs, thinking maybe those would be a good fit for our homestead, specifically the Kune pigs, which I know a lot of people raise and really enjoy. Now, because we really depend on the pigs as a source of meat for our homestead, we don't buy any meat in the grocery store at all. After researching the Kunes, I realized that they just weren't going to be a good fit for us because they just grew too slow. They take, considerably longer than a regular, well, I'll say regular pig to get up to a size that would supply us with a good amount of meat.
And in general, they're smaller than what we would like to raise for meat.
Right. So I kept doing research, and eventually I came across a breed that has everything that we want in a pig, and in a size that I think is manageable on a homestead of our size. They're called Idaho Pasture pigs. Idaho Pasture pigs are actually a fairly new breed of pigs, although they are a registered breed. And they are a cross between a Duroc, which is a standard kind of meat pig, an Old Berkshire, which is kind of a standard lard pig, and a Cooney, which is the smaller pig that we were talking about a minute ago. Now, the Idaho Pasture pigs have some things that are really pretty exciting as compared to the Coonies. And that is mostly that they get a little bit bigger. They mature at about 350 pounds for the sows and about 400 or a little over for the boars. But even though they stay small, they don't get up to that 700 to 900 pound range. They get up to butcher size, which is about 200 to 250 pounds, in not much longer than a standard hog. They're supposed to get up to that size in about 8 to 10 months versus, like 6 to 8 months for a regular, big pig. So that's exciting to me that they'll get up to butcher size in almost the same amount of time, but then they won't get so big at maturity.
Some other things we've learned about these pigs is that they are a pasture pig, so they're not going to root up the ground as much as a lot of the other breeds. And they're really personable and they stay nice. They don't get aggressive. They're really laid back and chill. Even the grown-up sows and boars are really personable. When we went to meet the pigs that we're bringing onto the homestead, that was actually true about their personality. They were wonderful. They weren't aggressive. They weren't mean. They weren't pushing you out of the way. They let you pet them. And while I know that a lot of that will come with us handling them, it seems to just come naturally to them even when they're big.
So we've made the decision to bring 2 sows and a boar and 3 feeder pigs onto the homestead, hopefully next week, if the weather allows us to get everything ready in time. So over the past week, we've been busy building new pens. We needed to build an entirely new pen for the boar, an entirely new pen for the grow-out pigs that we're going to be getting, and then the sows will be living in the big pen where we've always raised our pigs in the past, which is about a 1/4 acre woodlot with lots of oak trees, an area for them to roam and be free. Since they'll be here all the time and we need them to stay in really good condition, they'll get this biggest pen because this is where they will live the entirety of their life.
So we have been hard at work over the past week and we're excited to show you our accomplishments.
So first up is the new pen that we built for the boar pig that we're going to be bringing onto the homestead. His name is actually Charlie. He is a registered Idaho pasture pig, and this is where he'll be living when he's not in with the girls. Let's go inside and I want to show you one of the things that I've been busy building for all 3 of the pens here on the homestead. When we went to see the pigs over at Cindy and Dwayne's farm, which is where we're getting them, they had a great setup for feeding and watering their pigs. Something that when I saw it, like a light bulb went off in my head and I thought, why didn't I ever think of designing something like that? So I asked them if it was okay if I steal their idea and make some for the pigs once we bring them here on the homestead. And that is this thing right here. This is like a feeding and watering station for the pigs. Basically, there's a trough here that I built out of 2x6 material. This whole thing is basically built out of 2x6s and 4x4s and 2x4s. So because we're not going to be free feeding the boar and the sows because we need their condition to stay, trim, this trough will be where we feed him every day a specific amount of grain. We also have a watering cup down here, which is an automatic waterer. I still have to hook up a gravity bucket so that this will work off of gravity feed. But these are nice because it just gives them enough water, but it doesn't give them room to root around and make a huge mess. Now the pen that we built for him is 32 by 32. I still have to run some electric wire. All of the pigs that we're getting are already trained on electric, which is really nice. So I'll be running a single strand just inside of the hog panels, and that way he won't have any tendency to try to root up against them or pull them up or anything like that. Even though these pigs aren't supposed to be big rooters, he's not going to be too far away from the girls, and we need to make sure he's not terribly motivated to get over to them. So I think this is going to be a great setup. I still need to build a shelter. I've got some ideas for that, which I'm hoping to get done yet this week. But this system, this feeding platform, is going to be awesome, and it's really going to keep things much cleaner and give the pigs a great place to eat. All right, let's go over to the pen that we just built for our grow out or feeder pigs, and I'll show you that one as well. So this is the pen that we built for the feeder pigs. The pigs that we're getting 3 of them to grow out for meat for this year. They're 10 weeks old, so they're still pretty small right now. The pen that we built here is 16 feet wide by 48 feet long, and this will be a good space for them for quite some time. But we have plenty of room beyond this when they get bigger that we can take the back panel off and give them a much bigger area that we'll fence off with just electric fence once we know they're good and trained on the electric wire. So in total, they'll probably have a pen that's 3 or 4 times this size, and they'll have plenty of room to, roam and be in the woods and have a shade and all of that as they get bigger. But come around here and I'll show you their feeding station, because it's just a little bit different than the one that I built for the boar and the one that I built for the sows. Now their feeding station, just like the boars, is 8 feet wide by 4 feet deep, but it's a little bit different in that it has a smaller trough because we'll be free feeding these pigs. So I left space to put 2 of these feeders. Now initially we'll be using these small feeders. These are the feeders that we've used every year since we've started raising pigs. And basically they can just come up, open this up, put their head inside and be able to eat. I still need to anchor these on here. I want to be able to take them off and clean them up real good before we get the new pigs. But these will hold probably about 20 or 25 pounds per feeder of feed. Now when they get bigger, I'll take these out and I'll put in a much bigger feeder so that they can have even more feed throughout the day. But these little ones, these are perfect for starting off on pigs. I think these are actually automatic dog feeders, but they work great for little pigs. They also have the same watering cup, and the pigs that we're getting are already trained on this because this is what they're using at the farm where they're currently at. So that's great. They already know how to use that. When we bring them here, they won't have any problems at all. Now this small trough that we put in the middle, this will be the perfect place to be able to feed them, fresh veggies out of the garden, leftover scraps from the garden and things like that. This will be perfect for that. But again, we needed to leave space for the automatic feeders because we want these guys to grow as fast as they can. Now just like the boar pen, there are a few things that I still need to do in here. I need to run some electric wire on the inside of this fence, just like on the boar pen, and I still need to build a shelter. Again, I have an idea for that. We need to get that done this week. So we're back over in the sow pen now. Again, this is the biggest pen. This one is made completely out of electric fence, and it's about a 1/4 acre or so of area for them. I do have several houses or shelters already built back here for them. We'll just make sure we put some new bedding in before they come, but for a full-grown pig, this will be plenty of way for them to get out of the rain, and these guys are actually even smaller than the pigs we've raised in the past, so that should be great. Now, just like the boar and the grow outs, I did build one of those feeding stations for them. I still need to bring it back here. It's actually sitting in the front yard right now. So we need to bring that back and set that up yet this week before we bring them home. But we're excited to get these pigs, get them here on the homestead. Oh, one thing I wanted to share with you guys too is that, we're going to be breeding these and we're going to have them have babies, but we're not going to be having babies back here. We're actually going to build a farrowing area in the barn so that they can be out of the cold and out of the wind when they're having babies, because we'll most likely have them have babies in the winter. so that the babies will be ready to go to new homes in the spring. So they'll probably be giving birth sometime in December or the beginning of January, and that's actually the coldest part of the year here in Missouri. So we'll need to have a good warm place for them in the barn, and we've already got a plan for that, especially now that we're freeing up some space by finding new homes for the goats.
So you guys, that is what we have been up to for the past week, and the major decisions that we have been making, although we've been thinking about them for quite a long time. I'm so glad we were able to share those decisions with you guys. Oh, it's kind of a weight off of our shoulders.
Yeah, even though it is a little sad that we're going to be getting rid of the goats, we're so excited about this new adventure with the pigs. So we really know that we'll be able to find a great home for the goats.
When we were out looking at the pigs, they had some that were just born, and they were just so cute. I can't wait for that to come to the homestead and share that with you guys and share that with the girls. But before we go, I want to remind you that we have 4 does plus Rory's babies, 2 babies, and a buck available. If you're interested, please email us. We can talk about that more. I do want to mention, though, that because Rory just had her babies a couple days ago, she and her babies will need to go together. I'm not willing to separate them and have them be bottle babies. That's just not something that we do here on the homestead. So go ahead and email us, info@livingtraditionsHomestead.com. You guys, thanks so much for being patient with us last week. Thanks for coming back today for the great news. We're excited.
Right. We really feel like this is a step in the right direction for us. It really puts us back on track toward our goal of being self-sufficient on food for our family, and going forward with the pigs and being able to rely on ourselves instead of others is going to be a great step for that. So you guys, don't forget that the absolute best way that you can help us here on the homestead is by sharing our videos with all of the people on your social media who you think would enjoy them. We're just so thankful that all of you come back time and time again to see us here on the homestead. Make sure you stay safe out there, and until next time, thank you for stopping by the homestead. Take care, and God bless.
God bless.